first.
Interesting.
Oh man, we are live and we are filled with errors. Oh! This is COFOH Live Undead. I am your host, Daniel Crosier, and I am joined by the amazing Nate Webb.
Something on my face.
That's great.
Nate, how are you?
Great. Yeah. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on the show. Nate, you are overseeing Distortions Monster World. That is amazing.
Yeah, we've been honored to do that. I mean, known Ed for a long time, so for him to and his team to ask us to do that, my wife and I, Heidi and I, to do that, I just am blown away. So we're honored to do that. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Nate, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from and how you got hooked up with Distortions Monster World and curating.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a long story. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I may look young. I don't know. The gray beard might show for it, but
You got more hair than I do.
Not really. No, we don't. Yeah.
I just right here.
Yeah. But I've actually known Ed and Marcia since I was in high school. So that's like 1989 when I first met those guys. And we've been doing things together for a long time. It's really funny. There's old pictures that he gave me of us sitting around in an old church youth group meeting. And here's Ed and I hanging out together. So I think it was dated 1989. So we've been doing things together on and off again. When my wife and I got married, we were touring and doing productions, running all kinds of things all over the country, doing festivals, concerts, things like that. And she got to meet Ed, I would say probably 96, 97. We were back around and Ed and I were talking about a couple of cool projects. And that's when Heidi met him. And we got to work together on Brutal Planet. So when Brutal Planet was out, I was helping them with a lot of tech stuff in that. So that was like 1995, 96. Nice. And then we helped them do the Brutal Planet when it went kind of national and a little bit of international with Six Flags. So that's where Heidi and I got to work with them. And we've always done just on and off little projects here and there. And about, I want to say 2003 or 4, Ed had Heidi and I, we were over and we were just like, something big is coming and we don't know what it is. And we thought it was a concert tour. We thought it was some kind of music thing. Wow. Really had no idea what that meant. And we didn't have any fingers on any kind of pulse of what was going on. We just knew that sometime in the future, something was going to come up and we'd be doing something together, something big. And so we just kind of let it set, see what was happening. And about 4 years ago, Distortions Monster World came onto the mix. We were producing a festival over here in Loveland. Ed had just started the Monster Day thing over in Greeley. And they had tons of difficulties with just keeping the thing moving, making it happen. And they kind of realized in that first year, this show is a bit bigger than maybe they were able to handle. So they asked Heidi and I to jump in and help them produce it with all of our background and events and live entertainment and kind of the experience, art of the experience that we do. And so we jumped in, smoothed out a lot of things, helped make it a little bit more simple for them that second year. And we launched what was called Monster World. That was the first year we launched Monster World. And so it originated as kind of a park display. We actually set up a big tent. It was kind of like a sideshow thing to the festival. And it went off really well. People loved it. It was a lot of technical difficulties. We got rained out. So all of our gear's in the rain, monsters in the rain. I mean, it was like, when you do a festival, when you do a gig, the weather's going to come out and get you. And it happened, and it was great. So we learned a lot. The second year, we made a couple of revisions, adjustments, and we've always wanted to make it like an indoor experience. And it was kind of this way to go see the monsters, interact with the monsters in a really super different way. not be a Halloween haunted type of experience. And so that second year, it was much bigger, still in the park again and outdoors during the day, and people loved it.
Nice.
So that was what kicked off the original evolution. And then we got to really evolve it from there into what it is now.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, and now you're in a brick and mortar place. You're in downtown Denver. It's Denver Pavilions, right? That's where you're located.
Yeah, Denver Pavilions. I mean, really, we can't be in any better piece of property than Denver Pavilions. When it comes to Colorado, that's kind of like the epicenter of what things are happening in Colorado. Right. And we have been blessed by I think, God blesses us when we do our work, right? And he comes out of the woodwork and he says, I'm going to bless you guys because you're doing the right things. We're going to set up the right kind of stuff. So there was a bunch of people we knew from other work that Blazin has been doing. And we knew these people, they knew the property, and they said, we think the best place for you guys would be in Pavilions. So it's been pretty cool. And we've been honored to be a part of that too.
Nice. That's cool. And for the month of October, you've been, doing a special event, Monster to Midnight. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, Monster World, if you've been down to Monster World was really this kind of self-guided tour. You would walk through, you get to see the monsters, you get to be up close to them. We lit them very theatrical, so you get to kind of experience it. It's a little more of immersive, but it's a self-guided tour. Read the little things. It's more of a museum style thing, right? Monster to Midnight, this is the show that we really kind of wanted to do from the beginning. So really, this is the best version. This is the most ideal version of Monster World. When we were in the park, we had actors in there. And so they got to interact and they got to make some of the props come to life and do various kinds of things and interact with guests. When we moved into the pavilions, just labor costs and property costs and operations, we weren't allowed, really couldn't afford to just put 10, 15 actors in there and run it 14 hours a day, right? So we figured out a really great way to do it. And then this opportunity with Halloween was, hey, let's add the actors back in and let's create this kind of fun storyline. And so Monster to Midnight came out of Ed at Monster Day ever since it's been created. He always does this timed painting competition. So it's like how many masks can you paint in a certain, you got 15 minutes to paint them, right? And he always has the timekeeper that announces you have 15 minutes, and time will not wait for you, right? And so that character is Ed's nemesis. When we asked Ed about, what do you think of time? And he's like, time is my enemy. And so here's this enemy of Ed. Like, really? Ed has an enemy, right? And it is time. And you think about all of his production time, that's like the killer. And so if he doesn't make his deadlines and get that stuff out the door, it kills him. So it's like the perfect antithesis to Ed, the monster that Ed is the most scared of, right? And so we use that as the timekeeper, and he brings all these different monsters from all over the universe, forward, backward in time. Nice. And we get to experience the monsters, these unique monsters that are exclusive to Distortions. And we add that character actor on top of it. So it just comes to life even further. The music is louder, the lights are darker, and then you get these really cool, fun stories that the actors bring to life around that.
That's pretty awesome. So, you've got this, fantastic story to really engage with the audience and bring them in and stuff. Let me, show a couple stills that you sent over too.
Yeah.
So some of these guys, I remember seeing this guy at Colorado Festival of Horror.
Yeah. So that is Aeon Astra. He's our magician. He's got two different personalities. So that's the Aeon Astra version. He's a kind of creepy clown magician, gets up in your face, does a little bit of creepy stuff. And then that's one of Ed's new props right there. I think it's called Pumpkin Stalker.
Nice.
New for 2021. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And I think isn't that a tall animatronic piece too?
Yeah. This one we have is not the animatronic. I mean, that's kind of the funny part about what we do is we get all of the first run demo pieces out of the studio. So like when they come up with a new concept, it doesn't always move. It's not always an animatronic. That's kind of added in the second revision. But this one goes to the trade show. they get kind of the feedback and feel from the customers, and then they send it to us. And that's really, I think, the big thing about what Monster World is really about. Monster World is like the studio tour, not being in the studio, where you get to see the actual stuff in a really great display. And, you know, whenever you go to studio, you're always walking into the madhouse of the studio. And it's, I mean, if you've ever been there, it's a little unsafe. The floors are all creaky and weird. And
it is madness.
Yeah. Yeah. And you always kind of want to see the things, right? But then it just looks like a warehouse with, you know, there's dead body parts everywhere, but that doesn't really, like, you don't get to see the Queen Alien, you know?
No.
Right. And so, and you don't get to see the best of what they do presented in the best way. So that's what Monster World is all about, is presenting every best part of Distortions in the best way possible.
That's fantastic. So essentially, it's like an expanded trade show. You know, what they would bring to Trans World or something. You know, just you know, but to the nines.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude, this guy, I saw this. This looked pretty fun. It's like, oh, sweet, mad scientist, and of course, I thought, oh, it's the perfect embodiment of Ed Edmonds.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think about the timekeeper, right? He doesn't. He's not restricted to time and history forward and backwards, but he's not also restricted to any kind of universe. So part of our characters are like alternate universe versions of characters that we know. So this one is Ted Tedmans. And so this actor got to go up and hang out with Ed for a little bit. We had him up for about a day at the studio, and he kind of floated around and watched Ed work and got some good feels off of what Ed was doing, asked Ed a bunch of questions, and then developed this character, Ted Tedmans, as an alternate universe. Nice. But the cool part is he still does what Ed does, and he gets to tell guests and fans that are coming into the show, Monster to Midnight, he gets to tell them what is going on. So the first part of our exhibit has always been that whole monster lab and how monsters are made. And so when you put a character in there who can really speak that message and kind of tell all about it and how it works and kind of give some of those like insider secrets, that's what he does. And it engages guests so much that sometimes they get hung up for like 30 minutes just in the front, 20, 30 feet of the display. Yeah. And so it's great because we know that they're getting engaged and having a ton of fun. So yeah, Ted Tedmans, the alternate universe of Ed.
That's hilarious. It's like Bizarro's Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Spider-Man into the multiverse, right? And all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. I guess if we're talking about Ed, then it'd be the mirror dimension, like Star Trek and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I love the grays that Distortions produces, but yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah, so this is one of our actors. His name is Zach. I don't remember his name in the character. Like all of a sudden, I don't think they have names, but yeah, he's not crazy, but he kind of is. He's been abducted by aliens before, and he's trying to figure out how to help his friends because he'd like to go back with them. And so he tells you this story all about the grays and the little green guys and how they're kind of his best friends. And if you could just help him find his way back, they need to complete a mission, but somehow, they keep running out of time and it feels like they keeps resetting. And he just wants to go back with the aliens because he doesn't really like being here on Earth.
Oh, wow. They, let's face it, they have better TV shows.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then, the grays, the grays, those guys are amazing. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think this set was sculpted by Jordu Shell.
Yes.
Who's out in Hollywood. He worked on, James Cameron's Avatar, movie. So, he basically, designed the Super Smurfs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and then like of all the people who would create the grays and tell us what aliens actually look like, wouldn't Jordu know?
So, right, true.
Yeah.
I think he is part alien. I've talked to him a few times, and he's Enigma and I have hung out with him a couple of times, and we concur. Jordu is much stranger.
Yeah.
And then you've got. I love dragons, so I love this this setup, and it looks like we've got this wicked witch that's narrating things.
Yeah, so she is the owner of the castle. So just before you see this scene, you walk through castle doors with big giant gargoyle, and as you enter, you've entered in her house, and she's not really sure that she likes you or not, and she kind of smells you and determines that you're human or maybe not, and then I guess she wants to kick you out, but since you're there, she'll go ahead and tell you about her house, and so she tells you all of her different collections. And this dragon here is her ex-husband or her husband that she really loved, but didn't love him that much. So she turned him into a dragon. And she gets to sit across on the throne and watch her husband just growl and hiss. And it's a great little story.
Nice.
But, that piece right there is probably one of the most popular sold pieces animatronics by Distortions. And so we're privileged to have an actual animatronic version. So its wings flap.
Yeah.
Open up, his head turns and he opens his mouth. Because we're in a building, I can't run smoke, but he breathes fire when you see him normally. And so it's a pretty cool experience. And I'm really happy that we have that dragon because I've known that since I was in high school. I've seen that dragon.
Nice. Yeah, if you guys were outside, obviously he'd be an outdoor dragon, just like you would have an indoor cat or something.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So essentially, she's going on about this is her version of MTV Cribs, huh?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. She's got this really amazing collection of things that she loves, and she keeps them there, kind of in a cryostasis, freezing in time. But then at the same time, she lets them move from time to time.
Nice. Yeah, it seems like you have a fantastic shared universe of characters and storylines and these performances, but of course you've got the amazing displays that you and your team have put together with all assembled around Distortions masterworks. What was like the that process like, sitting there collaborating with Ed and Marcia, making sure they're happy, but of course it's like what's going to work in that space. And then, thinking about flow of traffic and, and people and what's going to, grab people's attention.
Yeah, that's really the excellence part that we bring to the table. So my company, Blazing Illuminations, that my wife and Heidi and I own, that's really where we kind of come in. So for all the years that we've been married, we have been creating experiences. And so it's a unique discipline. We call it the art of experience. And it really is an artistry when it comes to creating spaces and experiences. And it, a lot of times we go to festivals and we see a festival and, as much as you go to like a rock fest or some kind of, electronica dance festival or something, that is an experience. And there are people behind the scenes creating the depth and the richness to that experience. And they develop the stories, they develop those in real life things. And it has to be mindful. It has to be well put together and designed. Design, great design or just artistry is great, but like true masterful design is invisible. And so when you can walk into a space that was a Forever 21, a Forever 21, it's got white walls, all this decorated coffered ceilings, there's probably $1 million, $2 million worth of build out in that space, and it's all white. And how do you build a scary exhibit museum inside that space? So you really have to go in and think, what are the flows? What are the stories? How do we put that together so it's meaningful from beginning to end? How does the beginning of the story start? So we looked at the TV show Making Monsters, and it always starts with making the monster, right? You got to sculpt it. You got to get the clay out. You got to make the mold. So the monster lab is that first part. And then you kind of go through a portal into the rest of the space, and you experience these monsters kind of in their land. And we didn't want to build like real perfect cinematic sets where it just fully immersed you into this environment, but we wanted to create I guess it would be kind of like the impression of those scenes. So the scene itself and the scenery around it didn't take precedence and like kind of steal the show. We wanted the pieces and the props to be forefronted. And so when you walk into a space and you feel a part of the environment, you can feel the environment change from the forest to the alien area to the castle and through each zone, but it doesn't upstage the actual piece. It still allows the prop, which is the star of the show, to just stand out and take your breath away. And the end of the show It does, and that's why we ended with that, the Queen Alien. I mean, you have to end with the Queen Alien. It's probably one of the most iconic pieces they ever did. And if we were to try to upstage that through all the staging and lighting and all the other kinds of things, it's great. That's great, but the Queen is the star.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. That thing, that creature absolutely terrified me when I first, saw Aliens, back in, what was it, 86 when it came out?
I want to say 84. Yeah. 84, 85. Well, maybe they were in the studio making it in 84. So yeah, maybe it came out in 86. But
yeah. I remember the original one, Alien, how isolating that was. And then you get the big reveal in the sequel, of the Queen Aliens, like the one that's been dropping all these eggs. Oh,
yeah. Well, and wasn't there artistry back then of like the practical use of monsters and the way they filmed them that they set you up with all this tension? I mean, like 80% of the movie was the tension of not seeing the alien. It was seeing it in shadow, seeing it underwater, seeing these kind of just close-up teeth shots, and you never actually got to see the whole beast until, it comes up out of the water behind Newt, or, you walk into that space and here's this queen that's like bigger than life, and you're going, what am I looking at? Perfect way of revealing a monster, which I think people need to take note of for movies going on now. Practical, how to reveal a monster.
Yeah, even for that, like when Ripley comes into that, the Queen Alien's den, the camera is moving over piece by piece, like, what is this? And realizing that this whole, the egg sac and everything, this whole big, attachment, and and then it goes into the main body of the Queen Alien. It's like, good Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in our exhibit, we try to do something similar to that, but our scene is more about the scene that happened on the dropship, the Sulaco dropship. And so when you're walking from one of our scenes and about to enter, literally it looks like you're done with the show. That was intentionally designed to look like, oh, hey, I got to see Alice Cooper stuff, and now I'm walking backstage. Yes, I'm heading into the gift shop, and then you come around the corner and you're like, well, wait a minute, why does it say Sulaco on the wall? And what? And then if any of those cues kind of give you these hints, and then you turn this corner and you see the Queen just staring you right in the face, that was designed and intentionally put together that way.
Nice.
So I hear a lot of guests when they walk around, they're like, oh my gosh, or it just takes their breath away, or they scream, it's just something that they probably weren't expecting at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the best experiences. Those things that aren't anticipated. And you just walk in and it's absolutely stunning. And that's what everybody lives for, is those type of experiences, those type of engagements. Speaking of aliens too. Can you show us your T-shirt? I absolutely love your
So I'm a mega fan of Aliens as well. I mean, you talk about it changed your life. It did me too. I've been wearing Xenomorph shirts forever. So here's a Care Bear, alien egg Care Bear, and it's being attacked by a face hugger. Right?
That is awesome. Oh my God, that's so much fun.
Yeah, kudos to my kids for finding all these amazing alien Xenomorph shirts. I just that's brilliant. I gotta track that down.
Looks like Madeline Webb, she's watching us, so she's got her eye on us. So speaking of which.
So they know where to find these shirts. So I think it's Redbubble is the website. So if you're ever looking for some really obscure stuff, find it on Redbubble. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, cool. Yeah. My friend Angela just chimed in. She said hello.
Hey.
So, God, it's got so much cool stuff going on there. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the guests that you're bringing in, some of the talent, in addition to the actors that you've brought in as well?
I mean, when we added actors to it, there's that part of it, but there's also this thing where, because of the fandom that we're building around Distortions, I mean, the part of the intention was to build a larger fan base for Distortions. So with their TV show, they started that, and I think it really blew up. we need to service those guys. Like, we need to follow through with giving them that experience and bringing it to real life, especially since the show is currently not in production. So, we need to look at how can guests continue to become a part of that fan base and get some experience there. So that's part of why we're there. And so we're working really hard through the rest of this year to bring, just even during Monster to Midnight, to bring in people who have been a part of Distortions or a part of different pieces that we're featuring in there, whether it's part of Star Trek or, other pieces that they've done. So we had Enigma was in for the first weekend we were open. Cool. He was in both days. We're looking at possibly bringing him back. I don't have it booked yet, but Ed and Marcia were able to make the official Enigma mask. And when we first opened, we had about a dozen of them, and they sold like crazy. I wish we had more, but we don't. But, and I think Jordu sculpted that mask.
He did.
I think I saw one in the beginning, your opener. You've got one?
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah. Let's see if I can walk around my cluttered.
Make you walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're hoping to get Enigma back.
Fill it, entertain everybody. Yep.
Yeah.
So this is the newer paint job. He was Enigma's very particular with his blue.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of cool things that, like, that version of Enigma had all of the embedded, horns and all the other kinds of things that he's since kind of removed a little bit, just probably for comfort, I would imagine. Oh my gosh. But but the cool part is that Ed and his team were able to make that official license. So it's pretty cool. And I think that's why Jordu and the Enigma have become friends, was because of that sculpt, right?
Oh yeah. Over that, we went up and we shot that episode of Making Monsters. I do Enigma's comic book, and I've also done Distortions comic book too. So so I was able to bring Enigma on when the TV show took off, and it was a perfect marriage, for that. And it's a perfect marriage to have somebody like Enigma at Distortions Monster World as well.
Yeah. I mean, it is about that. And so we also we had Chris Jatat out this last weekend.
He's awesome.
I mean, I don't know how much he's been a part of Distortions, but like having these kinds of guys that have been a part of this industry, as far as the horror industry, and really focusing on the partnership with you guys, which is really making this work. So COFOH's partnership here is how we build this larger partnership in Denver and ideally nationally. And it's about connecting this fans of horror, fans of the monsters, fans of, Distortions, and we bring them all together because they all are one. And a lot of times these communities are what kind of gets dissolved in our daily life. And I think especially, after COVID really messed us all up, right? So we've got to get out. We've got to get connected again. We're better together. That was like the whole statement. I think everybody on the planet used better together. It's really funny. So 2021 was better together, and it is. And I think all of us as fans of Distortions, horror, Festival of Horror and Monsters and everything, we just need to get back together and enjoy what we love together.
Most definitely, and these type of experiences that you've put together, this museum, this curatorship, it reminds me too of, and I'm sure you've heard the comparisons to like Meow Wolf and everything like that. Another thing that's very immersive. The thing I like about Distortions Monster World is like, it's just as you said, it caters to the horror fan in all of us. And I think as a genre, it's one of the most accessible, if not the most accessible, genre by itself. Whenever you go, whenever like a horror movie, comes out, it's going to have a lot more legs than, a dramatic piece that'll probably win its awards that year, but then goes on the shelf for the rest of eternity. Right. Same thing with a lot of, popular novels. It's the horror, novels that seem to come up in conversation more often, except for Danielle Steele. Let's be honest. She's amazing.
Okay. Right. But you're right. I mean, yeah, when you look at all of our culture right now, we're more about kind of that scary goth kind of punk feel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even going to circuses, there's so many circuses are starting to go twisted towards the dark side.
Right.
You know, all of the experiences that we're seeing out there, everybody's kind of twisting them to this kind of dark side of enjoyment of monsters, a little bit of darker themes.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of our culture right now, is how we escape from our reality through that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Monsters always give us that. I mean, we've been scared of monsters, subconsciously from like when we were little kids, the monsters under our bed. You know, Monsters Inc., right? I mean, that was so popular. Here's funny, goofy monsters, and they went from scaring to laughing. You know, that's what it's all about. We're not really scared of monsters. We enjoy them, and we enjoy that kind of creepy, ominous, different feel that brings to us, and it's enjoyable, and it somehow never loses its fear factor. Isn't that weird?
No, it doesn't. If anything, you know, it for somebody like me, I become curious. You know, it's like, ooh, what's you know, that creature's, you know, story, you know, or what is he, you know, what does it represent, you know, in either in fear or in the story that's being told, or you know, or how it reflects on society too, because that's another good tool of horror, is, you know, how it mirrors, you know, what society is going through, what the anxieties might be, you know, what the times and the struggles and everything. And as you know, to your point too, you know, that level of escapism, and you know, that you know, plays into it as well. Looks like we're getting a few more comments coming in. A lot of people, a lot of nice people saying hello. Heather says hi.
Hey. Yeah, hey.
Madeline keeps coming back. I've been exposed. I can't creep anymore. Yep,
right.
That's true. We found you out, Madeline. And then Brett. I don't know who this guy is.
I've never heard of him before. Yeah.
On the 23rd, how many Queen aliens have? Oh, that's a good question. How many Queen aliens have Ed and Marcia made?
Man, I think when I was talking with Ed earlier this year, he said something in the neighborhood of like 35 to 45, maybe were ever made. Okay. I feel like that might be a high number, but
it's quite the collector's item. I mean, it is not a cheap thing. You have to have the space for it, and you know,
well, we have the only one that's currently on display anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I saw one come online. Somebody was trying to sell it through some website, and they were asking, I think they were asking like 75,000, which is, you know, now it's moving into the collector mode.
Right.
That was a couple of years ago, and it was pretty rough, you know. So the latex and the foam doesn't really hold up over time. No, I mean, unless you're really taking care of it, you know, and it requires a lot. Yeah.
My backdrop is already decaying after a year.
Yeah. And I know Ed's got some techniques on how to protect it, and they've put that onto the Monster Lab shows on YouTube. So you could definitely look at that. Maybe that'll help with your backdrop a little bit. But yeah, I mean, so think about, like, if they were making those 88, 89, 90, you know, we're almost 30 years. Well, we're better than 30 years on. So for some of these that are made back then, they're probably in pretty rough shape. But 40, I'd say 45. I'm just going to take a high number and say there was 45 of them made.
Nice. Looks like one of the Edmonds chimed in.
Hey.
Eva says, I'm not that nice, ...
No. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Don't know what to say to that. But it looks like your wife. Yeah, she's probably off camera. But when do we get to see the original? Shock Tropic. Oh, interesting.
Shocktronic. Maybe she's talking about Shocktronic. Yeah.
Oh, when do we get to see the original Shocktronic? Asking for a friend. Yeah, she's correct.
Always asking for a friend. Yeah. So does that mean she's asking me this question? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We always divert it to friends, right? Like, you know.
That's usually the case, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the original Shocktronic. I don't know what she means by that. Yeah. Who does? Oh, the original Shocktronic in there. Oh, I know what she's talking about.
Is it?
No, Heidi just brought up a thing. This is something, we're working on. You know what it actually is?
But
We have recently found that, and I don't know if I should say this. Maybe I'm just going to say it. A number of months ago, somebody was able to identify and find the original electric chair, like serial number 001, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and it's back at the studio, and we are working like crazy to get it to the show. So this is the piece that really kind of put Distortions on the map. Changed the entire trajectory of haunted houses. Really kind of said, hey, there's this big company out of Greeley, Colorado, and they make parts that now you don't have to make as a haunted house. Yeah, you can buy this part, and it's amazing. Simple animatronic mechanisms, and it brings your whole entire place to life. So, I mean, when was the first time you saw that thing?
I would have to say that I saw it in a catalog. Either the late 80s or early 90s is what I would guess. But I think I've only seen it on display, like different variations of it in production on display, at the shop in Greeley, maybe, 10 years ago, something like that.
So that was probably that's probably the most recent version, which is
right.
I don't know what the name of that one is, but it's kind of similar, but it's more air pneumatic made. So it's got a little bit more fun actions and stuff. Well, that original one, I think was created in 94, 95.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was one of the first pieces that we had in the Brutal Planet show. We actually had 4 of them around the corners of the big room in the arena. If you remember that. Did you ever go to that show?
I never did, but I remember when you guys were working on that, and I think that was during the time when Alice Cooper was part of it.
Yeah, exactly. So he would come in and sit in the big throne with his snakes and stuff, and those were Ed's snakes, and he'd pet the snakes and talk to people and sign autographs, and we've been doing those same kind of shows since then, right? So that's partly why we're bringing in the Enigma, we're bringing in celebrities. It's what it's all about. I wish that Alice and his guys were in town, Hollywood Vampires. We'd have them come over to the show, but I haven't heard that they're coming through Colorado anytime soon. So,
right. Well, a lot of these touring acts are getting back on the road. So I think my next concert I'm supposed to be, actually in person at will be Guar at the Orient.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be in December, so that's going to be really cold. So I better have a change of clothes because you usually get really doused and soaked at those shows.
In something, yes, right? Yes.
Yeah. It's luckily their formula has changed, so it dries very quickly into a powder.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they got sued a couple times and they needed to figure out, some new process.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Now, you guys also sent over a couple promo videos too, just kind of laying out what you can expect when you come to Distortions Monster World. Let me play the first one here. It's I think it's the first Monster to Midnight promo here.
Okay. Yeah, isn't that great?
Nice. Yeah, he seems like a good conversationalist,
Yeah. He can definitely do some magic tricks and kind of creep you out a little bit. Yep. And then he has an alter ego. Mr. Mars is his alter ego. He's a little more goth, a little more Chris Angel, if you will.
Oh,
and so he has happened. He came to life here just this last week. So now you're experiencing the Mr. Mars version of him. And he's a little more personable, but still quite scary. and he does a little front show inline entertainment. So he'll do about 6 or 8 different magic tricks, and I think he even escapes from a straitjacket, and that's all happening up front too. So a little bit of fun there.
Oh, yeah, straight jackets. Oh, that sounds like a massive dislocation.
Yeah,
Yikes.
yeah. Well, so I had a privilege one time to work with the great magician. Oh no, I just lost the name. I can't believe it.
Is it David Copperfield?
Yeah, David Copperfield. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was just BSing you.
Yeah, no, it was. He came to Loveland and he did a show, and I was a stagehand, and I got invited to be a part of the stage show. So I was involved in 3 or 4 of the different tricks that were going on stage. And a funny story is, here I am doing this whole scene, making this thing happen, and I come walking down off the stage because I'm part of the show, and I walk down off the front of the stage, and here's Ed and Marcia sitting in the front row. And I'm like, "Hey, Ed and Marcia, how's it going?" And they're like, "What? What? How did you get involved in this show?" It was such a great thing. But that's how our relationship is. It's just like we pop up with each other in random places, and they're like, "How are you working with David Copperfield?" Yes, we were.
Nice. That's awesome. That's so cool. That's pretty neat. For everybody that's watching out there, after the show, make sure you go to distortionsmonsterworld.com and get your tickets to Monster to Midnight.
Yeah, the best version of Monster World is Monster to Midnight. Absolutely. So don't miss it while it's happening.
Now, what's the plans for Distortions Monster World past Halloween?
So past Halloween, we're planning on staying open through the rest of this year, so through New Year's for sure. We're looking at properties to try to hopefully stay in place through this next year, but everything is kind of always up in the air. Like so much of the stuff in COVID and post-COVID and all these kinds of things are just all over the place. Right. Downtown Denver and all the things that downtown Denver is, but the property, we don't have an official agreement past March. So we're staying at least through March. I'm going to just claim it. We're staying to March. But we're trying to extend that so we could get another year in place. That would be our ideal. Just kind of helps us set things in, and it helps people who maybe missed us earlier this year catch back up. This whole experiment, it really has been an experiment to see if this concept works. And when we came up with the idea, the original idea was like, let's tour it around and go to all these different cities. And
right.
Prior to COVID, I think that probably would have been a little bit easier for us to just do.
Right.
But because of COVID and because of all this stuff that happened there, we really had to kind of rethink our experiment and kind of take it day by day. So, we opened in red version, so the red lockdowns back in December, we were able to open because they allowed small museums to open, and we had to deal with all the big, all the requirements, right? The masks and the spacing and all those kinds of things. And our exhibit was created with that in mind. Like that's that mindful design, that artistry of the experience that we talk about. We knew these kinds of things were coming, so we expanded the space to accommodate that. So we were able to open under red, but then every day and every month has just been this experiment. What's going to happen next? What's going to happen? How many people are coming? How many people are not? Is downtown going to open? Are people comfortable coming downtown? And does our marketing get out? I mean, it's crazy. But I think one of the coolest things. What's that?
You have to be very flexible with that. And
exactly. And just kind of roll with the punches. And so one of the great things, I mean, you had mentioned Meow Wolf a minute ago.
Right.
Meow Wolf actually opening in Denver is a pretty great thing. And if anybody thinks that we're competing with them, maybe technically you're kind of competing with them just because they're in the same kind of market sector we are. Right. But I love that Meow Wolf opened in Denver because for a place to be a destination and they are leading the path, they're leading the pack, if you will. Mm-hmm. They are setting a new standard for what Colorado and Denver is all about, saying, hey, we're proclaiming this as an art town. We've all kind of played around with art stuff before, and now we're an art town, and these guys come walking in the door and create, what is that, $70 million or something over there? I don't even know. Yeah. But like an exhibit that is ridiculous, off the charts, and what I hear is amazing. I haven't been yet, so I no doubt it's amazing. I went to the one in Vegas. And so for them to be in Denver, they opened in the same year we opened. I just feel privileged to be in that same conversation, right?
Yeah.
Meow Wolf and Distortions Monster World, like awesome. You know, you can't really get any better than that. So we're kind of all blazing trails and figuring out what's the new normal coming out of COVID, and going to see what's happening. I'd love to get another year under our belt there. We kind of fine tune our experimentation. And then from there, you know, we're always looking for people to come and get involved. I'll just put a plug, say, hey, we're always looking for investors that want to take this thing and let's go national. I mean, my dream would be we're in 10 cities. We've got big exhibits. We're open year round in 10 different cities. That would be amazing.
That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah. Each one probably having its own flavor too.
Absolutely. No doubt. I mean, like we have 35, maybe 40 scenes in there. I mean, how does that, we're barely scratching the surface of what Distortions has been a part of.
Right.
So there's so much stuff in the history of Distortions that we could do and kind of take the immersive level a little bit further, really get into some of those animatronics and historical stuff. Right. I'm looking for, like, if anybody's got collectible Distortion stuff out there, I would love to work with collectors who have that. We could curate your exhibit, your display, and your collection. I'd love that because that brings, there's collectors that have things that I don't think I've ever seen. There might be like limited runs of certain things. Yeah, like this, right? Yep. But like, can you imagine, like, I'll just plug it like, hey, Jordu, if you're like watching,
right?
Let's do a collection together. We'll curate it. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh,
so cool.
Like Jordu's collection. Jeez.
Jordu, that'd be awesome. Just a touring collection of his works with Distortion.
Yeah,
that'd be so
exactly. And the work that they've done over the years is so amazing and so extensive that I think we could open 10 or more of these kind of museums and really bring them all to life. And you'd have to travel around the country to see it all. It'd be awesome. Yeah,
most definitely. Now, we got to start wrapping up, but man, we just got slammed with a slew of more comments and questions.
Yay.
So Neva says runs in the family.
Yeah, I love it.
And then, what is your favorite exhibit at Monster World?
Are you asking me?
Yep.
Oh, I think we talked about that. It's Queen Alien for sure, right? No doubt.
Yeah, I think Madeline brought that up too just now. Yeah. And Heather says that's my favorite.
Cool.
That's an awesome video.
Nice.
So, let's see here. Angela says, put me to work. I want to play.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, we're always hiring. So yeah, info@distortionsmonsterworld.com. Let's go.
Yeah. So she and Brittany will be, on their way.
Awesome.
She also works with, James Balsamo and Bill Arukin. I think they came by and shot some stuff at Monster World. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they did. They came by, shot a bunch of things. It's pretty cool. All of our actors got to be a part of the scene, at least the ones that wanted to be, I guess. But yeah, got to be a part of a scene. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but James is always working on so many projects.
Right.
You never know where the footage he shoots with you is going to show up. So
yeah.
Yeah.
When I talked to him, he said he quite literally has like 7 films at various stages of production. So that's pretty intense. Yeah,
he's a Hollywood powerhouse. I'll tell you what. He is what everybody should be aspiring to. Frankly, if you want to be a creator, that's how you create. You create so much content that nobody can keep up with you, and you blow everybody away. Yeah.
Right. No, most definitely. Madeline just popped back in. My favorite scene is USDI character. USD from STC. When that what year was that made? Do you know?
Yeah, so that was Uzdi from Star Trek Continues, and it was like 2015, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah,
that was really recent.
Yeah, so that one was really great. I mean, so Star Trek Continues it was a fan-made show, and it was all these different fans and even celebrities from a lot of the Star Trek episodes and series that were happening prior. And the gentleman that was a part of that who created Uzdi was this kind of rock monster. And we have one of 2 ever made in our museum. That was Greg Dykstra from Pixar. He saw Star Trek Continues, loved it, had to be a part of it. So he's actually axing one of them. And then he wrote the story for episode 6, which is Uzdi.
Cool.
Yeah. And there's that connection you talk about, monsters and humanity, right?
Yeah.
So when you watch that show, the humanity of monsters comes through.
Yeah.
And I think that's why monsters exist. I mean, we're right back to that same topic again, but that's a perfect example of it.
Yeah, growing up, I always, I was watching so many creature feature, films, everything from like the Toxic Avenger to like Monster Squad, and so many of those, the monsters were the hero. Hellboy's a great example.
Yeah. Oh, I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and hanging out with Enigma, it's wonderful. It's like you got your own personal. You got your best friend, but you also have your own personal Hellboy that does not need any prosthetics.
That's right. The one and the only Enigma.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. No, that's so cool. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to, share with everybody the last video promo that you sent over. This is time running out. Yeah, so meaning get your tickets for Distortion Monster World on
Monster to Midnight.com.
Darn it. So here's this.
Yeah, don't miss it.
Yeah. Time is running out, so much so that was very short.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't miss it. I mean, we just produced that today. Maddie and her team putting that stuff together was pretty amazing. So that's our pitch and our promo, but time is running out. I mean, the timekeeper is not waiting for us. So
no,
if you want to see it, you got to get down there and see it.
Yeah, it is not. It's Ed's ultimate nemesis, time.
Exactly. Is there a Mary? Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Nate, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was such a pleasure, talking to you and learning more about Distortion's Monster World and everything that you guys do.
Thank you. Yeah, it was awesome talking with you too. Thanks so much for this opportunity. And hey to all the fans. I mean, guys, it's so great to meet everybody, and hopefully we'll get to see you down there at the show.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think you got like Xander Smith coming down. I think the 23rd or so.
Yeah.
A few more.
Uncle Nasty. I think Uncle Nasty's coming down. Greg Stone. Yep. So he'll be a part of that. So
awesome. I love Uncle Nasty. He's fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, and we'll keep announcing more. So check it. Check our Facebook all the time. Instagram, we'll make announcements there. And then when you're at Distortions Monster World, sign up for our email newsletter too, because then that'll get you all the information of what we're doing. That's probably the most real-time way that we're reaching out to people and letting you know. There's also sometimes some little sneaky fun discounts going on in there and just insider information too. So that's the best way to stay in touch with us.
Oh, fantastic. Nate, stay around for a couple minutes while we sign off.
Okay.
But, again, want to say, thanks for being so generous with your time.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
Cool. And to everybody who tuned in tonight, thanks again for all your support. And to our friends at Hellfire Entertainment, thanks for rebroadcasting us on your social media. To Mutiny Cafe, if you're going to start a revolution, make sure you're caffeinated. And our friends at Groovy TV. Groovy passed away last year, but we carry on instead. And of course, this month right now going on is Mile High Horror Film Fest. So you go catch some of their movies online. They're virtual again this year, unfortunately because of COVID. We all know the score. And of course, want to say thanks to our sponsors, Alien Donut Films, Bill and Angela over there. And to our producers, Steven Santa Cruz and Amanda Armstrong, thanks so much for your support. Everybody who tuned in, thanks again. Make sure you take care of each other. Look out for each other during these tough times. And remember, we love you. And go get your tickets at distortionsmonsterworld.com for Monster to Midnight. And do it now.
Yeah, exactly. Get them now before they're gone.
Excellent. Take care, everybody.